Hello everyone, I'm Tim from timscomputerfix.net. I own a computer repair shop here in the Savannah, Georgia area. Tim's Computer Repair, look me up. If you're in the Savannah, Georgia area, even if you're not, you can ship your computer to me. I'll be glad to repair it. You can find me at timscomputerfix.net for more information. And in this video, I'm going to show exactly a situation that I had to where a customer was in a big hurry to get their laptop back. This laptop would not power on. I didn't have time to order parts. So I sort of improvised. So let's have a look here. This is a Gateway laptop. So let's just have a look exactly at how I dealt with this situation. Okay, this is a Get It Fixed Today job. This is a Gateway MS2258. We have a power button issue on that, but not just a power button issue. It's pretty smashed up here on this one corner. It pretty much looks like this might have been dropped. They said they've been using it for quite some time, but the power button is missing and the hinges are busted on it. And you can see here it's just been kind of dangling and ripping some things apart. They're using it like this. I'm just going to take out this battery here and show you just how much more damage was done. You can see there where screws have been kind of ripped out from underneath the battery casing there, from it separating, and these people were just continuing to use it. But luckily for them, I have another model exactly the same that has a dead motherboard. So we're going to use this to repair the hinge, the casing, and the power button, which gives a little twist later on, you'll see. But I was lucky that I had this in my shop because they need this computer back really fast. Okay, I'm going to show you here real quick exactly what the replacement is going to look like. I just kind of took the bezel off here. The replacement parts here are looking really good, not looking bad at all. And we're going to have to expose the hinges on the damaged one. So we'll start off by taking off the tabs that cover the screws on the bezel. And once that's done, we'll start to take the screws out of the bezel so that we can actually remove the bezel. And then also down around the hinge area, there's also a couple of more screws that Gateway has put in here that is actually where the hinge covers are. One side does not have them. There's one here, and the damaged end does not have a hinge screw at all. So we'll go ahead and remove this hinge screw on this side, and from that point we can just kind of carefully with a spudger finish removing our bezel, and that's going to expose our hinges here, and we'll get a better idea now of exactly what's damaged and what it's going to take to repair the parts. So we see here how the hinges come completely off of the chassis. Not good. Our replacement here, I'm going to show you here real quick for a second how it's supposed to look. There's how it's supposed to look, nice and solid. There's your power button here. That's the way it's supposed to go. So we're just going to pretty much switch top lids. Pull one top lid off, put it on this old busted up one, and replace the screen. Swap screens and all, and we should be in good shape. Here's the power button wire, which we're going to replace. We're going to use the everything from the good chassis, and we're going to replace all the stuff on this bad top lid here. So we'll see how that turns out. I had thought about just replacing the power button on the damaged side of this. Maybe if I could pull the power button off, but the whole hinge comes with a back type casing. I'll show you here. Here's the replacement. See, it's got this back cover, so that's even missing on the damaged one. So we're going to definitely have to change the whole lid out. We'll start off by removing our power button, and that'll even expose more damage here. But just be gentle. There's no screws holding this power button board down. This power button cover. So we'll just go ahead and just kind of pry up on it. It comes unsnapped. And off she comes, and we have a ribbon cable here we have to be careful of, but this is kind of what it looks like with the power button cover off. And there's our more of our damage right here. Get a nice look at exactly what we're looking at. Okay, next comes the keyboard. Again, no screws holding this down. You've got a ribbon cable here you have to be careful of, but that comes off relatively easy. And now to get our top lid off, we're going to have to feed our antenna wires from underneath the laptop. We'll feed them up through the top, pull them through, and we'll pull them out of their guides here. No problem. Always taking mental notes or pictures of how these go. Here's the actual power button spot right here where it plugs in. We'll go ahead and take that off because it's going to be replaced. We'll move that all out the way, and there we go. Okay, on the left side, we're going to be removing some more cables. This is going to be the data cable, probably the camera, maybe on this side. Whatever else is going up to that bezel, to the top lid, we're going to just remove and take them out of their guides here so we can free up this top lid. Now that the wires are out of the way, we can go ahead and remove the screws on the bottom that actually hold the hinges in place. There's two spots here I'm showing. Basically, you just remove these screws. And then there's two here on the top. And once you get the one on the left and the one on the right removed, we can actually pull off. Now this is the replacement. This is off the good hinge here. So we started with that. All right, and now we have our top lid off is what we want. Now here's the busted one. This is the one that we're going to be taking off. So same procedure. Take off the button board. We'll pull it off. Next comes the keyboard. Just like the original one. Pull it right off. Ribbon cable. Pull it out of place. Got that. And now we can remove our top lid with our wires. We've already pulled those through and everything. I just saved you the hassle of watching all that. So there's our broken top lid. So we're going to compare the two, and that's the bottom is the good one, the top is the bad one. So we're just going to swap them out. And everything should go well, but as you know, in this line of work, nothing's always 100% theoretically. So we're going to put our hinge back on, screws back on. We're putting this thing back together. Everything is going well to this point. All of our hinge screws back. We get those on. And then we test our hinge. Nice. Now we have our power button cable. And our nice new power button there. Well, I say new. It's from a used laptop. This already been diagnosed with a bad motherboard, so in theory, everything should go well here. We're going to put our antenna wires back through, get those all in, basically just kind of lining and putting everything back together the way we took it apart. Get these in to their appropriate slots. On the left side, we have our other wires here that we have to tinkle with here a bit and get this all straightened out, looking good. Get everything back to how it was. Plug everything in. Now at this point, we're pretty much ready to test our new power button. So we'll give it a go. Okay, seeing how I was in a bit of predicament at this point, I decided to improvise. So here's the wire to the power button that I was showing there. And I think what I've decided to come up with is I'm actually going to use a Radio Shack button, power button switch here. I have several of them in hand. And I decided to go with the Sub Mini push button switch shown here. So we're just going to take off the little securing nut that they have on there, and we took that off. And what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to tin these wires. This is the wire into the actual original power button. I'm just going to put a little solder on these ends because we're going to prepare them. I'm going to actually use this Radio Shack power button, and I'm not really going to mount this button. I've already kind of thought about it. I'm going to have it in a place that it's going to be out of the way. It's not going to look bad, but at this point in time, I have about an hour left before the customer needs this back. So time is of the essence. Don't have much more time to spare here, so I'll show you what I'm going to do. So we'll tin the tips of these small wires, and then we're going to add my extension wire there that I use. That red wire is just my extension electrical wire from Radio Shack, and we'll tin the tips of those, get them prepared, and then we'll just sweat on these two small wires here. And I'm going to solder on the positive and negative to the button itself. And we have one side done. We'll do this other side here, and those will be pretty much good to go. Now, I've also slid some heat shrink tubing before I started this soldering here. I had some slid over the wire, so I'll go ahead and slide these up so we can cover and protect the connections here on the switch. And then we'll kind of bend the leads back to where they're kind of nice and neat. And later on here, we'll add some heat on these heat shrink tubing to kind of shrink them up. But now's our test. We got it plugged in. I got my power button here all wired up, ready to go. So we're just going to test to be sure this works. We'll hit the button. We got a hard drive light. We got a power light. And now we have a screen. So we know the power button works now. Now I just got to come up with a way to sort of mount it. I'm not really going to like drill a hole and mount it somewhere in the case. I'll show you what I do. We got our heat shrink tubing going on here. We're going to have that taken care of. And I like to use this liquid electrical tape in some instances to kind of protect these open ends here. Will follow up with some regular electrical tape to kind of protect them a bit more. But I do like the liquid electrical tape as an added bit of protection here. So now just kind of find a way to kind of lay these wires in here up underneath the panel. No big deal really. I think I'm just going to use the panel to kind of hold these wires in place, these red wires here in place. So we're going to kind of pinch them down a bit. I want to use pinch. It almost like secures it. It doesn't really pinch them to where the wire will break. But I'm just going to leave the wire out and kind of just close this back lid, tighten it down to where this wire does not go anywhere. It's going to be pretty darn tight. You're not going to be able to pull the wire out. It's not going to flop around. And it is a solution for this customer at the moment to get them going, to do what they need to do. They got proprietary software on this laptop that they need to have and use, and it needed to be back to them. So I'm putting things back together now. The keyboard goes back on. The button board goes back on. We're going to do the little ribbon cable here that just snaps back into place. And we'll just snap that on like so. Make sure it's good and snug. All right. Next comes our bezel. We'll get our bezel snapped on there nicely. It's looking as good as new. Snap our bezel back on. And then come the screws to our bezel. We'll get that on, and then we'll put our little tabs back on over the screws just real quick here. Kind of pushing things along. You get the idea. Don't forget about the screws that go to the hinges, the hinge covers that we talked about. We'll get those on. No problem. And we'll go ahead and put the battery in. And this is where I'm just going to kind of use a little bit of painter's tape. Now, I know this isn't a proper job. We could probably find a place to like put a hole in the case and kind of mount it or what have you. They really need another button ordered is what they really do need. But for now, this has to get back to the customer now. So right here, it's out of the way, it's secured, and it works. So we'll just hit the power button here one last time. We'll pull it around and hit it. And then, boom, we got ourselves a working power button and a working laptop. So this turned out to work out pretty well. And I'm glad I was able to help the customer out in whatever way I possibly could. So I hope this video helped you guys out. Please rate and subscribe to my feed. I would really appreciate that. We have more computer repair videos on the way really soon. Thanks again, everyone. And until next time, everybody, see you soon.